AUI TikToks. If you are new to these series, let me remind you that AUI TikToks is an initiative that consists of a series of tech-related topic webinars series video streamed each other Friday at 9 p.m. GMT. It is of around 45 minutes, and we have 15 minutes Q&A from the audience. So the webinars are a joint effort of IEEE, Women in Engineering Morocco Affinity Group, AUI, School of Science and Engineering, SSE, and Arab Women in Computing Morocco chapter. So the previous seasons was a success, and we had the honor to receive several successful AUI alumni IC keynote speakers, including Dr. Kautal Mghrawi, Dr. Bushra Bukhata, Mr. Faisal Belamin, Mrs. Sausan Taha, Mr. Mehdi Khashia, Dr. Chilila Mujahid, Mr. Mehdi Risasi, Miss Kinza Tohs, and Mr. Osama Sfrawi. Today, we have with us Mr. Adil Allach, graduated from AUI SSE first in 2005 with a Bachelor in Science in General Engineering, and then in 2008 with a Master of Science in Computer Networks. His first professional experience was as a technical manager for 1 year at Spacecom, a Moroccan satellite network operator. Then he joined the Regional Investment Center 12 years ago, where holding now the position of head of digital division. Mr. Adil is focusing now on digital transformation on the public sector in Morocco, of course. For that, he will be presenting to us digital transformation of the Moroccan administration case of regional investment centers. Please note that we are welcoming all your questions, and Mr. Adil can answer them by the end of this session. The floor is yours, Mr. Adil.
Thank you, Sundus. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like first of all to thank the organizers, AUI, AUI alumni, and engineering, women in computing, and also basically the president of the university, the dean of School of Science and Engineering, my colleagues that are still at AUI, my other colleagues that are on other parts of Morocco or parts of the world, because basically right now AUI alumni are everywhere in the world. So as you said, I graduated from AUI twice, first as with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering and then with a Master in Computer Networks. I started on the private sector as a technical manager in Spacecom. Basically, it's a satellite company that operates in Morocco to provide the satellite coverage, especially for the areas that are not covered by the normal technology. That's, for instance, we are talking about 2008. So in 2008, the coverage was limited, and it was the starting where I think it was really the beginning of the 3G. Now we are talking about 5G. So it's a bit something very old. Then I joined.
I am sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Adil. I think
do you hear me
your
right
voice is
now?
cutting.
Okay now? Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to speak up. Well, as you said, right now I am the head of it's a CTO position in the regional center. But when I talk now about digital transformation of the Moroccan administration, because they are still not here. I don't know if it's my problem or it's a problem because basically all the systems are okay. Okay. Okay, let's see what we have here. For me, all the settings are okay. I don't know if it's okay for you. Because basically the microphone is okay. Oh, I think it's a question of the network coverage. Well, I don't know if it's a problem of everybody or just some of you. Sundus, do you hear me very well?
Your voice is cutting.
My voice is cut. Okay, I guess I have a problem of the connection. Okay, let's see. Mhm. Parameters, audio, microphone. All right, what about now?
Can you speak
I am speaking. It's okay.
a little bit better
A
for the
little bit better.
moment?
I need to continue like this because I have poor coverage. I'm working on a 4G connection, but in the area where I am connecting, I guess the network is not so good. I'll try to speak up and is it okay now?
Maybe just have the mic closer to you.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll try to work like this. Okay. So I will go directly to the presentation in order to not waste so much time with the technical problem. Okay. So sharing the screen. Mhm. Okay. Do you see the presentation?
Not yet. Now we can see it. Yes. Thank
You
you.
can see it. So I will talk about the digital transformation of the Moroccan administration case original investment center. Basically, in my agenda, I have four main sections. I will start with an introduction regarding the National Plan for Administration Reform in 2021 by the Ministry of the Administration Reform, and now that is as also job of the people uh, digital transition, which is basically the digital transformation of the public sector. Then I'll talk about within that plan. I will talk about the main digital transformation that is undergoing on major ministries, and then focus on the reform of the regional investment centers. Talk a little bit about our job, and ending with the roadmap regarding the digital transformation of the regional investment center. And at the real end, I will give some examples and some illustrations of the material that I think is important to know, especially by everybody in order to understand where is the process that is going. So, in this introduction, I will talk about the National Plan for the Administration Reform 2018-2021. So, in this plan, basically there were four main pillars. The first pillar was an organizational transformation, because we have inherited an old public administration with basically very poor digital culture. Uh, since the introduction of the of the technology on the 80s and 90s, there was no let's say a focus on the organizational transformation regarding these new technologies that were introduced. So basically, one of the main axes on that plan is to have a real transformation of the processes to adapt them to the digital era. Secondly, there is another pillar that is very important, what we call the managerial transformation. So basically, we know that governance is something very important in the digital transformation. So all the leaders, when I say the leaders, I say the directors and the main managers of the big, let's say, departments or ministries were formed in order to adapt to the digital era, and some other managers are recruited basically from the private sector in order to join the public sector to share their experience, their managerial experience in order to undergo this transformation. And basically, we were one of the countries that started this process at a very early age, even before Spain. Just for instance, to tell you how things are going. Then we have the digital transformation. The digital transformation, which raises the question of setting up all the mechanisms necessary to have good quality public administration using the digital. So this is the main focus of the presentation. Later on, we will talk more in the case of the regional investment center. We will also talk a little bit about what's going on the main administration. And there is also anything transformation, because when we introduce the digital tools and adapt the administration to the digital era, there are some ethical transformation that is undergoing. There is a change management going on. There is we need to deal with the history of people, for instance, that not adapt to the new era. So there are action plans that need to be set up in order to adapt everybody. So for this transformation to so in these four pillars, right now we will focus on the digital transformation, which is the topic of our presentation. So in the master plan that was designed by the Ministry of the Public Administration Reform, there were five main projects. So basically, the first project was master plan, because people, when will deal with the public sector, there is a key term that is always be used by all ministries. We call in French le schéma directeur, the master plan. So right now there is something changing. Instead of talking about schema director, we are talking about digital transformation. So instead of basically schema director or master plan is having a plan for 5 years or for 10 years or 15 years. Problem with technology is that when you recruit somebody to undergo a study for 5 or 10 years, when we reach the first and second year, the technology has changed, has evolved, and all the results are obsolete. So we cannot rely on this plan. Instead, with the agile methodology, we are focusing more on processes and then going with iterations in order for have short-term, long-term objectives, but with short-term action plans that needs to that needs to undergo that change. So basically, the plan was a bit of a strategy that should be taken by the public administration. When I say public administration, I say administrations that belong to the ministries that needs to have their own plan in order to transform themselves and then what we call be helped by the leadership, the necessary leadership, and the trusted companies that undergo that work on basically the digital transformation. So the second project is very important, is the establishment of what we call the government gateway platform. What is the government gateway platform? Basically, each ministry should have its own gateway that centralizes all the digital projects that belong within the administration of the given ministry. We will give some examples later on. One of the examples, for instance, of the gateways that will launch is the digital factory of the Ministry of the Interior. We belong, because the regional investment centers belong to the Ministry of the Interior. So I will talk about that later on. Then another project that was very important is to develop a citizen complaint and grievance management system, or the platform that is very known right now, which is called Shikaya. So basically, the citizen that suffers from any abuse regarding the public administration have now a platform that is transparent 100%, or that gives him access to depose his complaints or grievance, and then it is transparent to them and also to the people that should solve the problem. So basically, the public, in order to open the public administration for the citizens using technology. So this is one thing that is important. And the final project that is also very important is the implementation of the human resource management information system for public administrations. So basically, since we are talking about the digital era, about the digital transformation, a change management should be undergone. So therefore, action plans regarding the human resource development on technology was established for each administration in order to be successful at this change. Then, right now, I will talk about the reform of the regional investment center. So, just to give you an insight before talking about these missions. So, basically, what is a regional investment center? In order to understand, regional investment centers were introduced in 2002 by a letter of His Majesty Mohammed VI, uh, to the prime minister at that era in 2002 in order to have a single window for creating or set up in companies as well as for the project investments. Because basically before 2002, if somebody, for instance, wants to invest in a given sector, let's say somebody that wants to build a hotel. If he wants to build a hotel, the proceedings that he needs to do, he needed to absolutely to go to Rabat to the Ministry of Tourism and take the paperwork there, and then go to another ministry for another paperwork, and then to the third ministry for another paperwork. And when all those paperworks are done in Rabat, he came back to his region, let's say, for instance, Tangier or Agadir or whatever, and start another paperwork that is local. So this was very painful for investors. So investors started to go from Morocco to the other attractive regions such as Tunisia or Egypt or Spain, for instance. With 2002, the introduction of investment centers was basically in order, instead of paperwork in Rabat, paperwork was done at the capitals of the region. So instead of going to Rabat, you go to locally to the regional antennas, and then you do the paperwork. But it was just a small administration under the authorities of the walis. Walis are the governors of the region that have the authority to sign the papers on behalf of the ministers in their territory. So basically, a wali can sign a paper on the name of the minister of the tourism in his territory, as if the minister of the tourism signed the paper. So this is basically the main thing that happened in 2002. But it was limited to that. And when things started growing, a lot of problems were created. For instance, for when we have an economic development, also the administration should be developed in order to comply to those changes. So basically, in 2019, a new reform is transformed the regional investment centers from normal administration we call public entity. Public entity, it has financial independence, and it has a board of trustees. In this board, the chairman is the wali of the region, and among the members there are all the representatives of the region, the president of the region, the directors of basically all the sectors, and also the presidents of the chambers, basically chamber of commerce, chamber of agriculture, and other chambers, and also the people from the private sector. That is very important. So the representation of CGUM, which is the patrona of Morocco, and also other investors are invited, at least three of them, that are invited to the board in order to specify the strategy of this. This transformation axis in four main steps. The first one is regarding the transformation from the public administration to a public entity, as I explained. The second thing, the creation of what we call the Regional Unified Commission of Investments, that we'll talk about it in the next slide, which is very important. The third thing is the setup of the Interministerial Commission of Steering. Basically, it's a commission that is led by the president of the government, and that treats the big investments as well as the claims. Because basically, if an investor deposes his project and his project is rejected, he has the first instance claim to the wali, and if that claim doesn't prosper, he can claim to the president of the government for a second appeal. And in that second appeal, it is this commission that treats it. And also, this commission is responsible to evaluate the performance of these centers, if they are going well or changes must be undergoing. And the four main thing that is very important, that is the topic that concerns us, is the adoption of what we call a digital roadmap. So a digital roadmap was established for the regional investment centers, but we will talk about it later on in this presentation. So basically, as I said, the second step is creation of regional unified commission of investment. I will explain it rapidly. So basically, before the reform, before 2019, we have an investor, for instance, that wants to invest. For instance, we have somebody that wants to build a hotel. So that hotel if we want to build it, we should build it on land, the given land. If it's a public land, so it needs to be treated by what we call the regional commission régionale d'investissement, the regional commission of investment. If that land is located on a place which is sensible, then it should be treated again by what we call comité régional d'action environnementale. See the impact of this project on the given land. For instance, projects are near the beaches and stuff like that. If, for instance, we have this hotel that was built, it should be to have a classification in order to have the license to open. So an investor needs to deal with all these commissions at the same time. So sometimes projects were training for years and they don't have any answer. So the reform removed all these commissions and established only one, which is called Unified Commission of Investment. And this Unified Commission, the investor is not intended to understand all this stuff. It needs to one interlocutor we call the spoke. Spoke is a new term introduced in the regional investment centers. Basically, spoke. It is called mainly. It is the abbreviation of single point of contact. It is the single point of contact is responsible to talk to the investor and takes care of all the administrative stuff, dealing with the commission and dealing with the technical aspects, and then give a final answer to the investor. So basically, the investor talks only to the spoke, and it's the spoke that treats the investment project from start to end. So basically, this is the main heart of the reform that we're undergoing. And using this reform, we go directly to the digital transformation roadmap. To explain it in a better way. So when we talk about digital transformation, before introducing any code or any technology or any implementation, the process must be optimized. So basically, the reform what did is optimizing the investment process, and once it was optimized, then technology does its job. So I will explain it better. Remember this that we talked about. Here is translated on the reality right now. The investor talks directly to one interlocutor, which is the stock. And when we say that talks, it might be a real meeting or a business conference or whatever. But basically, all the process is taken through a platform. This is the real digital transformation for the regional investment center, for the commission, unified commission of investment. Basically, it has an account into the platform that we will see in the next slide. It opens his account. Once he opens his account, he chooses proceedings. So instead of dealing with so many questions, the spoke helps the investor identify the first proceeding. For instance, the example that they gave about the hotel. Before building any hotel, you should have a land. If it's a public land, so you should acquire that land. So the first proceeding is acquiring the land. So it needs to prepare a folder for this proceeding, and this proceeding is based in the commission, which is the Regional Unified Commission of Investments. And once it is approved, he has the first authorization, which is the land. The second thing, he needs to build, so he needs a license for building. So this license, again, it starts with preparing the investment folder and then enter it into the platform, the same account. So the second proceeding goes again through the commission, and the commission debates it, and if everything is okay, it gives him the act, which is the construction license. Once it's done and needs to open, there is a third proceeding, which is classification. He prepares again the paperwork, goes through the third proceeding with its same account. The Regional Unified Investment Commission analyzes it, and if it gives the okay, then he has the final act. So basically, all this stuff is conducted through a digital platform, which we call CRE Invest, that we will see right now. So CRE Invest, it is accessed via this link. It is a national platform used by all regional investment centers. So basically, there are 4 steps for the investor.
first of all, to create the account. So it's basically the investor information. Once he creates the account and inputs all the information needed, then the second step is to input information regarding the project. Because an investor, we can have an investor that is, let's say, a company in Casablanca that wants to open a factory in Tangier. So the investor information, he has an address in Casablanca, but the project is in Tangier. So it inputs with the same account the project information for the project in Tangier, then the documentation, basically the urbanistic plan, the plaquette, the let's say paper regarding the land. So all the paper that is needed, the documentation. Once the documentation is uploaded to the platform, then the final submission. And once the submission is done, the single point of contact in his back office account, he sees the project, analyze it, and within 3 days, if a document is missing or any information is missing, he asks the investor again to re-enter it, and if everything is okay, it is validated. Once validated, it goes to the commission. So if you allow me, we will just go directly to the platform just to give you an insight about it. So this is the platform. This is a national platform, as I said. I will start by this, Monseeri. So if we go here, we can see that all Morocco, all the regions of Morocco, the 12 regions are represented. So basically, if we talk about our region, my region is Tangier, Tetuan, Al Hoceima. If we click here, so basically we have the localization, the exact localization in map, and then so connection takes a bit of time in order to show. And we have, here is it, so exactly the location. And we have here the needed information, the phone number, the name. Our director is Mr. Jalal bin Hayoun, who is also an alumni of Lakhawan University. So, and the digital guy, of course. So we have here the information. If we want another, for instance, region, let's say Rabat, if we click in Rabat, we have here the information about Rabat and everything else. So we have also the information regarding the type of the project we want. So for instance, we have 5 families of projects, or we say proceedings. So the first thing regarding the evaluation of the project. So for instance, there are this proceeding is for all projects in order to analyze whether it's an investment project or not. And then, for instance, if we talk about étude d'impact sur l'environnement, before 2019 it was a commission. Right now it's a proceeding. We have here for the land, for instance, if our example, we keep our example, somebody that wants to build a hotel in a public land, so it needs to click here, autorisation de cession de terrain du domaine privé de l'État, y compris les terrains agricoles ou à vocation agricole, et fixation de la valeur vénale. So if we click in the proceeding, we will see exactly how the things are done. So here we have the dossier. This step is once the investor inputs this project on the platform, and the spoke, the single point of contact, analyzes it and validates it. Once validated, it's called depot dossier. He has a receipt in this way, and then the law says that once the folder is accepted by the platform, he has less than 30 days in order to have a real response. So if we say here, we put our project on the platform, the spoke has 3 days whether to accept or not the project, depending on the documentation and the information provided. Once it is approved, then it goes to the commission, and within the next 20 days, the regional investments commission, unified commission, needs an answer whether it's accepted project or refused project with the answers why. If it is accepted, then he has 20 days to get the paper, the paper regarding the acquisition of the land. And here are the paperwork that needs to be presented to the platform before submitting the folder. So for instance, we have here certificate piété, a copy of the national card of identity, délégation de pouvoir de représentant de l'investisseur. In this case, if the investor wants to give a delegation to his architect or accountant to take care of the paperwork. We have here demande adressée au président de la CRUI. We have here, for instance, the information regarding the company, if it's a company, and everything else. And then here, if the investor wants to know in the law what we have exactly regarding this case, so he clicks here and he has all the laws undergo in that matter. So if the investor selects the proceeding and wants actually to start his journey, he needs to click on s'inscrire, and then he has two preferences. Either he creates or she creates her account directly and use the wizard to input all the information, or he can ask for a call or a contact directly with the spoke, with a single point of contact that will advise him through all the proceedings and the processes in order to create his account. So I will not create an account because this is a live account. It's not a demo account. So just to give you an insight about the platform, I will get back to the presentation. So in this presentation, I will talk a little bit about how this platform was developed. So basically, it was developed using the methodology of Agile Scrum. I think that you are familiar with it. So just to give an insight, so the product owner for the platform were the CREs, the Regional Investment Centers of whole Morocco. These centers are coordinated by what we call DCAE, Direction de la Coordination des Affaires Économiques, which is a department in the Interior Ministry. So the product owner basically defined the product backlog through the digital factory. Digital factory, it's an entity established by the Interior Ministry, which is managed by the Direction Système d'Information et Communication, which is basically the IT department of the Ministry of the Interior. So through the digital factory, it's something internal to the ministry to develop all the digital projects. So the first digital project developed by the digital factory is this platform. So Seri Invest. And basically, they work the normal Scrum Agile methodology. So the definition of the product backlog and the minimum viable product was identified at the beginning, and then they start identifying the sprints through the project life cycles. And the first deliverable was the first MVP, which was the version 0 of the platform. And then through each sprint, so the first sprint basically was just how to create your account and submit your folder. Then the second sprint was the introduction of the digital signature, which basically the acts, instead of being signed manually, they were signed electronically. The introduction of what we call le recours, people that have complaints. For instance, somebody that inputs an investment project through the commission and gets a refusal. So that refusal, he has the right to appeal through the platform. The first appeal to the wali of the region, and within 10 days, and the second appeal to the president of the government, and all this stuff is conducted through the platform. So just to give you an insight, because we are talking, as I said, here about a digital roadmap. So this roadmap includes other projects. So right now, there are projects that are being conducted basically by other CREs. So just to give you an insight, so we have 12 regional investment centers in Morocco. So how the digital roadmap works is each project have its own product owner. So the first real product owner that developed the first MVP of Seri Invest was the regional investment centers of the Oriental Oujda capital. So another regional investment center is working on the ERP for CRPs. Another regional investment center is the GIS application that will be used by the CEO of the regional investment center to manage the land through a GIS web application. In our case, in Tangier, we are the product owner of the territorial offer information system, which is basically an information system which give updated information and real-time data to investors that wants to develop a project in our region. And when we talk about projects might be normal investors or might be etatic investors. So basically, it's for the economic development. So this economic development normally should be a data-driven project. So right now, our regional investment centers is our director, our general director, our CEO is the product owner for this project, and other projects that were in the roadmap that are being developed using this. Just to give you another insight, this digital factory doesn't work only with CREs because it's a factory related to the owned by the Interior Ministry. It works on other projects in the ministry. For instance, the national register for the COVID-19 so was conducted by the digital factory. Another project, for instance, is what we are working now through what we worked on regarding the elections. So it was developed so it's basically a digital factory that works on all the projects of the ministry. So before ending this presentation, I just want to tell you something regarding Agile and other stuff. So I want to share something that is very important. So for instance, I would like just a bit this documentation. I can share it with you. You can have it. It's public documentation. So this is the law that I talked about, the reform of the regional investment centers. It's very important to read it because basically it talks exactly about what we were saying. So if we go here to the missions, one of the missions that here, de développer et administrer des plateformes électroniques dédiées à l'investissement au niveau régional en vue notamment de permettre aux investisseurs et aux entreprises en particulier et petites et moyennes entreprises d'accéder aux données relatives à l'environnement régional de l'investissement, aux opportunités d'investissement et potentialités de la région, aux procédures à accomplir pour la réalisation de leurs projets et de suivre l'état d'avancement de leur dossier d'investissement. So basically, we are asked to develop this kind of platforms to help the citizens get the best of our services. This is one thing that I wanted to share that is very important. The second thing, it is regarding the agile environment, because basically, you know that in the public administration, when we want, for instance, to develop a project, either we recruit a company that will do the project or we do it on our own. So the case of the digital factory, it's a methodology that the ministry chooses to develop on its own the product. But if we want to develop a product using let's say, a company, a private company that does that, so basically, we in Morocco, the law says that we go through the regime of what we call as appel d'offres. So we have we have uh, we have a website that is a public website for this appeals. So in marché public, all the entities are included. So for instance, if we go to consultation, we go here acteur public. Let's type, for instance, régional investissement. Okay. We have here, for instance, if we click on okay, درعا فيلات طنجة تطوان الحسيمة. If we put here, for instance, 19, here 19, lancer la recherche, okay. If we go here, we see all the projects that are launched by the investment center. But the problem here is that the law says that the specification should be included, and then the company to respect those specifications to develop a given project. The problem with Agile is that we cannot define all the requirements from the beginning. It's an iterative process. So, from my modest experience, the entity that really uses Agile with compliance with the law is a public entity called the Portnet. Portnet, it's the single window for exterior commerce. So if you want basically to import or export product, you should go to Portnet. So why I say Portnet? Because Portnet, for instance, to keep using the agile methodology while using the actual law, it developed, for instance, this project. If we can see it, this is public. If you go here, all the description regarding the technical environment and the specifications for the project were defined. So let's go to the technical directly. For instance, here we define environnement technique actuel. We have the database technology, the business intelligence technology, what we want from the company that will develop everything. But how this will be developed is very important. It will be developed through requests that are periodic, and how these people are going to be paid. They are going to be paid by jour homme, man days. And we define a quantity and we use this quantity. And if this 3,000 is not used within 1 year, it can be reconducted to another year. And using this kind of what we call CPS, respects the agile methodology, and we can develop this kind of projects using agile methodology. So thank you. I hope it was not long and boring, and I'm open for your questions.
Thank you so much, CD. I will just read the first question that we have. Thank you for your talk. There was a problem with the sound from time to time. My question, where is the platform hosted? Is it centralized in each CRI or decentralized?
It is a private cloud owned by the Ministry of the Interior.
So is it centralized or in each CRI or decentralized?
It's a cloud. I don't have the specifications exactly, so it's a cloud. Basically, it's a private cloud owned by the Ministry of the Interior. So when we call cloud, so it's not decentralized. It's decentralized.
Okay, let's read the second question. Is the platform actually running on a private cloud of the Moroccan government?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's a cloud owned by the Interior Ministry. And it is
Okay.
the main host is hosted on the physically hosted on the digital factory.
Okay. Our third question is, does the platform provide access to only the stakeholders from various administrators?
Yeah, basically, the platform has what we call different profiles. So what I showed on the presentation is just the investor profile, which is anybody that can create an account. For the administrations, each administration that interacts with the platform, its account is created by what we call the regional support. So the regional support, which is a project manager that creates the administration's account, and each administration has its own account, and this account provides it with all the data that is uploaded by the investor, and then each document that is signed by the commission is uploaded there. And also there is another account, the scope account, because we talk about scope, the single point of contact. So the scope account it is basically an administrator account that receives the project, analyzes, and then approves it and selects members of the commission to whom the project should be submitted for opinion, and then at the day of the commission, it is the scope that we use in his account uploads the signed documents on the commission.
Mr. Adil, I think we are having again the problem of the mic. Can you just get
Okay.
the mic closer to you? Thank you so much. So
Okay.
our next question is, what problems did the generalization and adoption faced both among CRI employees and citizens?
Well, among CRE employees, basically it was the problem basically of change management, because basically we have people that used to work on just on paper. They were not very familiar with technology. I mean, about the old school people. But this problem was overcome with recruitment, with new teams, with new human resources that are basically familiar with technology related topics, and they were trained basically to use this type of technologies. We are also facing technical problems, because basically the platform from time to time gets down, because since it is a private cloud, so this cloud faces security challenges, basically DOS attacks and stuff like that, that gets the platform down from time to time. But it's something that is developed on our own, so it's something that we should be proud of, because we started with something that will be evolved during time.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we still having some questions. Need updates. Okay, so how this fit with Ad Digital Horizon 2025? Is there any coordination with ADD?
You mean ADD? ADD
Yeah.
is a partner. Basically, just to give you an insight, all the platforms that are developed by ADD are adopted by the regional investment centers. So, for instance, our for people that have complaints or want to ask information regarding the regional investment center of Tangier, when they click about the request platform basically was developed by IDD. It's a partnership between ADD and regional investment centers that we set up on there. Basically, all the projects that are made by ADD, when they are generalized, also the regional investment centers adopts them. And when also some from time to time there are some creative projects that might be worked in a collaborative way. But ADD has a lot of let's say heavy work on so many applications and so many platforms, and basically they are doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Adil. Let's wait for other comments.
Okay.
So we have excellent work. We want to see that in other public sectors. What problems is digitalization? Okay, so this is the one we we already have. So we have excellent work. We want to see that in other public sectors.
Inshallah. Yeah. I think the most important thing to get in mind, especially for students, because when I was a student at AUI, we didn't hear so much about the public sector. We were hearing just about multinationals, about some big Moroccan companies, but the public sector information was inexistent at that time. So right now, the public sector, even the reform ministry was transformed to a digital transformation ministry, and the ministry is she is a PhD technical 100% professor on the matter. So I think there is a very big will from His Majesty the King and all the government to make the Moroccan administration progress in this matter, and I hope that AUI and other universities will let's say emphasize also on what's happening on the public sector, with sharing experiences, with let's say internships with the ministries in this area, because a lot of work is being conducted in this areas.
And thank you so much for adding a value to our degree by talking about the public sector. It's true that we don't hear about it much. Thank you so much, Si Adil. I hope to see you soon in another opportunity. Thank you.
Inshallah.
And thank you for everyone who was with us in this stream.
Thank you, and I hope to see you again. Ciao.
Thank you so much.